The wildest thing about The Matrix is not the simulation. It is the power plant. The movie asks you to believe humans are batteries, and physics says no. Released in 1999 and directed by Lana and Lilly Wachowski, The Matrix built a modern sci-fi myth. It starts with a simple, unsettling flip. Ordinary late-20th-century life is not reality. It is a constructed world fed into human minds. That premise lands because it targets experience, not atoms. A simulation does not need to model every molecule in a city. It needs to model what you notice, moment by moment. Sight and sound, sure, but also touch, balance, pain, hunger, smell, and the sense of owning a body. That last part is easy to miss. The film insists that reality is something you inhabit. You sweat in it, you flinch in it, you fall in love in it. It is not a screen. It is a lived environment, stitched to your nervous system. The movie even gives that idea a name: residual self-image. The phrase is fictional, but the intuition is sharp. People carry an internal model of their body, their capabilities, and their vulnerability. Change that model, and you change what feels possible. One scene makes the point with brutal clarity. Cypher eats a steak he knows is simulated. He still wants the taste and the comfort that comes with it. The moment argues that experience can matter, even when you distrust its source. Now comes the hard engineering leap. The Matrix is not just a persuasive world. It is piped directly into the brain through a neat little port in the skull. A cable clicks in, and a whole life boots up. Real brains are not built like that. There is no single universal socket where reality plugs in. The nervous system is distributed, adaptive, and messy. It changes as it learns. Signals drift, tissue reacts, interfaces have noise, instability, inflammation, and calibration problems. Reading the brain is already difficult. Writing to it, at full sensory bandwidth, is far harder. A real matrix, you need to generate vision, touch, proprioception, and vestibular balance. It would also need to suppress conflicting signals from the actual body lying in a pod. Even more challenging, it would have to close the loop. You do not just see a hallway, you walk down it, and your brain expects the timing of footsteps, the sway of your head, the pull of gravity. A convincing world is a sensory-motor conversation, not a one-way video stream. There is a deeper biological problem the film mostly sidesteps. Many humans in the story are connected from birth. A brain that develops in a pod is not a normal adult brain waiting to be unplugged. Development depends on movement, touch, immune history, nutrition, and rich variation. To raise billions of humans that way, the machines would need more than life support. They would need a developmental ecology. They would need to simulate the kinds of experiences that shape motor control, attention, and social cognition from infancy onward. Still, the direction of the idea is not fantasy. Brain-machine interfaces are real, and they are improving. Devices can measure neural activity, stimulate circuits, and sometimes restore limited functions. The gap is not the concept. It is the scale, and the cleanliness, and the speed. That speed becomes pure wish fulfillment in the skill download scenes. Neo lies back, code scrolls, and suddenly he says, "I know Kung Fu." The movie treats expertise like an app install, but skill is not the same as information. Procedural competence lives in timing, feedback, and repetition. It lives in the calibration between perception and action. Martial arts also live in tendons, conditioning, pain tolerance, and emotional control under stress. The film has one partial escape hatch. Inside the simulation, the body you fight with is made of code. If the Matrix controls that body's rules, it could grant you a kind of virtual coordination. Even then, it is not really learning. It is more like changing the physics of the avatar. Outside the simulation, the illusion breaks. A freshly unplugged human would not have a fighter's body. The movie gets one important detail right, and it is easy to overlook because it is not glamorous. When Neo is extracted, he is weak, disoriented, and overwhelmed. His muscles are underdeveloped. His eyes hurt. He can't just stand up and sprint into freedom. That is biologically sensible. A body kept inactive for years would be profoundly deconditioned. Muscles waste, bones weaken, cardiovascular capacity drops, coordination suffers. Even basic sensory integration would be shocking after a lifetime of artificial input. The film speeds up his recovery because it has a story to tell. But it earns points for admitting a truth. Liberation has a bodily cost. Waking up is not only philosophical, it is medical. Now, the big scientific faceplant. The machines use humans as an energy source. The imagery is unforgettable. Endless towers of potted bodies, wired into an industrial ecosystem. As symbolism, it is perfect. As thermodynamics, it is a dead end. Humans do not produce energy. We transform energy we eat. If you want power from a human, you must feed that human first. You must also provide oxygen, water, temperature control, waste removal, infection control, and constant maintenance. Every conversion has losses. Heat leaks away. Metabolism is inefficient. The energy you could harvest from a human body cannot exceed what you put in, and in practice it would be far less. The movie gestures at recycling by turning dead humans into nutrient slurry for the living. Recycling biomass does not create a surplus, it just slows the decline. A closed loop of humans eating humans winds down, unless an external energy source keeps it going. Morpheus mentions humans are combined with a form of fusion. That line does not fix the accounting. If the machines have controlled fusion, that should be the power source. If they do not, then saying the word fusion is just decoration. A more plausible motive would be something other than power. Maybe machines keep humans for computation, using brains as wetware processors. Maybe humans are hostages, or a conserved legacy, or a politically useful captive population. Those are speculative, but they do not violate energy conservation. Where the film becomes sharp again is in how it imagines control. The Matrix is not just a computer program, it is a civilization-scaled governance system. It has to maintain a believable society, with routine, distraction, fear, and incentives. Graphics are not enough. You need culture. You need workplaces, bureaucracy, entertainment, and habits that keep most people from asking dangerous questions. Control is psychological as much as technical. The agents embody that idea in a surprisingly modern way. They are not just villains in suits. They act like privileged security processes inside a network. They can appear through ordinary people. They enforce rules and hunt anomalies. That is a good piece of software imagination. In a simulated world, threats would look like intrusion, unauthorized access, and behavior that breaks statistical expectations. So the defense would be native, automated, and woven into the world itself. Even the action hardware has one grounded touch. The electromagnetic pulse on the Nebuchadnezzar is dramatized, but it points at real vulnerability. Strong electromagnetic disturbance can disrupt electronics. Better yet, the film gives it a cost. The crew hesitates because it will disable their own systems too. Finally, there is the question of death. The movie insists that dying in the simulation can kill you in the physical world. The phrase, "the body cannot live without the mind," is poetic. But biology is not a perfect kill switch. A simulated gunshot does not rupture an actual organ or drain real blood. For the body to die, the interface would need to trigger something fatal, like cardiac arrest, respiratory failure, seizure, or catastrophic autonomic collapse. Severe shock can harm you, yes. But the rule, as stated, is too absolute. By the time Neo is shot and returns, the story is no longer pretending to be neuroscience. It becomes messianic myth, on purpose. The science exits and symbolism takes over. So what should you take away from all this? The Matrix is most realistic when it treats reality as embodied, and control as systemic. It is least realistic when it turns biology into a power socket. And the lingering implication is simple. If you can control perception, you do not need to control physics. You only need to control what minds are allowed to experience.